Nobody does it better. That title song from the James Bond movie, The Spy Who Loved Me, could very well fit this amazing club, Ann Arbor Kiwanis.
I've known Jim Brandstatter, now Jim, you'll have to verify this, probably longer than any human being outside of his immediate family. Because when I was a young student, and I lived in Lansing, Jim's mother hired me to paint their living room. She did not tell me when she hired me that they had a little 6-week-old baby. But anyway, she hired me. Now, I went there with mixed feelings because Jim's father was an All-American football player at Michigan State, a fullback in 1936. He headed the Division of Criminal Justice on the Michigan State campus, and he was and is an icon at Michigan State. So I was privileged to paint in their house. One day, right after I started that job, Mrs. Brandstatter, a bright and beautiful lady, said, "I've got to go to the grocery store. The baby is sleeping in the bedroom. Will you take care of him if he awakens?" She no more than went out the door. There was crying and blabbering you've ever heard in your life. Incoherent stuff was coming out. I knew then he was going to be a sportscaster. I went into the room, prepared to pick him up out of his crib, found that they had already moved him to a king-size bed. Picked him up, brought him out in the living room, held him to my shoulder, and burped him. And thank God I turned you away from the wall I was painting. I'd have had to paint the whole bloody thing over again. So that's how I first met Jim.
Charlie Sink says the way we do this is get the most famous singer in the world to come to Ann Arbor. So he gets in touch with the manager in New York and says, "I'd like to come to speak with Mr. Caruso about coming to Ann Arbor." And Caruso says, his manager said, "Where the hell is that?" And the other thing you need to know, Mr. What's your name? Sink? You can't afford him. So Charlie went to New York to make sure that that's exactly what the situation was. He won't come to Ann Arbor and you can't afford him. So Charlie said, "Well, how much is the fee?" $13,850. Charlie didn't blink an eye, but that was kind of like the budget for the whole year for UMS. He came back and gathered the board of the Musical Society and said, "How do we do this? So what's the objective? Get people back in their seats." But everybody wanted to hear the greatest singer in the world in Ann Arbor at this new auditorium. So the board of the Musical Society came up with this scheme. You want to hear Caruso? Then you buy your season tickets for the 1919, 1920, and 1921 seasons in advance. Then you are eligible to buy a $15 ticket to hear Caruso. And that's how they did it. And so what happened? People came back in the seats, they packed the house again, and they were off and running. But that is the imagination of those guys that preceded me.
That we are the, quote, best band in the land. There are some other bands in the Big Ten that have that label. And the Michigan and Michigan State bands have great confidence in knowing that if you have to say that, you're probably not it. And what comes with that between the two schools that have influenced each other for so long is that when it's that game, when it's that day, it's the A game for the other school's band. In other words, when we come to Michigan, we know we're going to be with the Great Michigan Band, and we're influenced by the Great Michigan Band, and we're going to be our best. We're going to program our best stuff. Our kids are going to be at their highest level of concentration, and it's going to be our A game. And Scott and I were talking about this when the Michigan Band comes to East Lansing, it's exactly the same thing. And that has been a shared sentiment for so many years. I see that only as a positive. And it's like anything else in life. When there is a, you can call it when the pressure's on, or when the environment inspires you to be at your best, or the deadline that's created has said, now we have to produce, that's usually when we find ourselves giving our best effort. That happens in every walk of life. Halftime show, when we come to Ann Arbor, we'll get 6 minutes on and off for halftime, and they will get 6 or 7 minutes on and off. And then by Big Ten rules, we have to communicate with each other, and there has to be a gentleman's agreement that we're going to stick to the timing, because if the bands are on the field too long, you know what happens. Here come the teams out of the tunnel, and the band is still on the field. I'm not sure that's what the head coach wants to see when it's time. There, of course, historically are the two famous directors, and you're going to know these names. Ravelli, right? And Falcone, these two Italian guys. Now, I'm pretty sure in their era the rivalry might have been between the bands, those two guys. So Ravelli's on the ladder, and the band is playing, and the clock is counting down, and now it's past the 7-minute mark, and it's going into the 8-minute mark, and Falcone's getting upset, and there were pictures of Falcone pulling Ravelli off the ladder, pulling him down off the ladder.
We have two of the best cities in the world right now to use as our laboratories for healthy downtown living: Ann Arbor and Detroit. So, speaking about Ann Arbor, you can't read these probably, but #1, top 10 college towns. #4, the most creative cities. #10, greatest main street in America. #1, best college sports town. #6, top art destination. #4, college towns in the USA. #3, recent college grads. So Ann Arbor has got an extraordinary appeal.
It is a shopper's paradise in Riley's world today. News 4's Dwayne X. Riley spent the day browsing at Ann Arbor Kiwanis Club's 64th annual rummage sale. It fills 3 floors in a building at Washington and First and runs through tomorrow morning. It's a bargain hunter's dream come true.
Best offer by the time we're done. A poker table for $30. Desks, steel or wooden, $50. Nearly new Davenport's couches, $35. An antiques corner.
It's great. Great deals. You can't imagine the deals you get here. What's other man's junk is someone else's treasure.
Second floor, glassware, purses, clothes, cameras. Ernie Letts transferred from clothing to China.
Over there, I pull the wool over their eyes. Here it's crystal clear.
How's business?
Wonderful.
What's a diesel fitter?
Well, that's something unique in this building. We just hold up a garment and put it to you, and that's a diesel fitter.
Oh, diesel fitter.
Yeah.
Well, my.
Pardon me?
My.
Ties, $1. Records and books, 25 cents. Are you finding anything you like?
Yes.
Are you a regular customer here?
30 years.
Brand new rowing machine and bike, $100. A great organ, only $75. Organist extra.
It's Valentine's Day.
Kathy Barden, First Lady Chairperson for Kiwanis, lists some of the charities that benefit.
To 4-H, the Y, the Boy Scouts, the Alzheimer's Association, all kinds of different places get the money that we get for the goods that we recycle.
And there could be some unexpected treasures in the trash.
We've gotten word that someone donating these pictures, and they donated an original Van Gogh, and I'm looking for it.
You're kidding.
It's in here somewhere.
There somewhere?
In all of these pictures, and we can't find it. So whoever comes up with a Van Gogh, we're going to make them a bargain on it. We're not going to give it back. This isn't it. This is a print. Lautrec, I believe.
9 to 1 tomorrow. Dwayne X. Riley, News 4, Riley's World, Ann Arbor.
Russell Bidlack, who was the true authority on the history of Ann Arbor, no longer living, researched this subject about 50 years ago, really for the first time. And he pitched the Arbor myth into a cocked hat. He found out that although John Allen, the founder from Virginia, And Elisha Walker Rumsey, the co-founder from New York State, were here with Rumsey's so-called wife in February of 1824. The town was named, and the name was registered in the Register of Deeds office in Detroit on May 25th, 1824. And then they sent for John's wife, Ann Isabella Berry McHugh Allen, who was back in Virginia wondering where the hell he was. And she didn't get here until October of 1824, long after the name had been registered in Detroit. So she had nothing to do with the naming of the town except that it was named for her by her absent husband.
Another quality of yours is you're not beyond telling a joke on yourself, about yourself. Now, what I'm thinking of, and I want you to tell the viewers this story, of when you did, you know what I'm getting at, you did the play-by-play of Michigan in the College World Series. I think the year was '62, perhaps. Anyway,
Correct.
you pick up the story.
Well, yes, it was out at Omaha, Nebraska, at the NCAA tournament, I think it was, for the championship of big college baseball. Don Lund was the coach, and I had never done a night game before, and so the first ball that was hit looked like it was going to go out of the park. It was on its way, and I said, "It's a long fly ball," and I'm about to say out near the fence in center field, and it turns out the shortstop caught it, and I had to back off and say, "Caught by the shortstop." But I didn't know any other way to do it, but I had to do it, and I apologized. I said, "I've not seen a broadcast under lights before. The ball looked like it was out of here. Sorry, folks."
Now, tell the viewers what happened later when when Mother Nature called.
Well, that's right. I went out to get a Coke, and they didn't have a lot of amenities in those press boxes in those days. And we had two microphones, one hanging out over for the crowd, one in the booth. I turned that one off to go out to the restroom and get a Coca-Cola. Also, and came back and started to talk and describe the game, and pretty soon the telephone rang, and the guys in Ann Arbor are calling me. He says, "Where are you?" I said, "I'm in Omaha." "What do you mean, where am I?" He says, "Well, you're not on here. All we're getting is crowd noise." And I forgot to turn the microphone back on in the studio.